Hi everyone, I'm going to show you how you can make wavy cables. I am making gloves, so this is going to be part of my glove pattern, and you might have seen the picture a few seconds ago. In this video I'm only showing you how to make the wavy pattern using a very cool pattern I found in a magazine. I've changed it a little bit, but it's pretty much the same cables. I just changed the stitching you're doing in between the cables. So now you're going to stitch a tall stitch, a front post treble, 2 rows below, and it's marked in green. That's the green is front post treble, and it's called front post treble because you are basically pushing the stitch forward. So this is a very three-dimensional stitch. So as you can see, you did these two in the second row below. So you go down a row, you go down 2 rows, I mean. Then you follow this pattern. So where it's green, it is front post treble. And where it's a circle and an X in the pattern, it's an extended single crochet. But what we're going to do is a simple half double crochet instead. And because I'm changing color all the time, I forgot to change color, but basically the cables are going to be a different color to the rest of the glove. So I have to always change color, which makes the back of it very messy, but that you just have to stitch that all up and weave in the end afterwards. So that you can do that while you watch TV or something like that. That's just something you have to deal with afterwards, because you are always going to change yarn. So as you see now, I've changed yarn. I'm going to do a 3 half double crochet. But now I'm not going to go 2 rows below. I'm going to just go in the 1 row below as normal. You're only going to go an extra row below when you're doing the cables. That's why the stitches are so tall. So here I nearly forgot here to change yarns. If you haven't changed yarn before, you do that in the last, when you yarn over and you pull through the last loops, that's when you change yarn. And then basically you just do the front post treble again in 2 rows below, and then you have to finish up your stitch and change yarn, and then you just do half double crochet to the end if you are doing this, exactly this motif. But I'll share with you the glove pattern once I have finished it. I haven't finished it yet. So you can use this pattern in making socks, making gloves. The most important thing is that between the cables you do 1 row of just half double crochet. That's important, because there has to be a row between the cables. Since the cables, you have to go 1 row below. So now I have to change color to green because I'm alternating. And then I'm going to follow. So now where you see it's blue, that's a front post double treble. And as you see, I've gone forward with 2 half double crochet and have to now go backwards, and that's why the stitch is so tall. When you have to go either backwards or forwards with the stitch, you're doing a front post double treble. That's very important. That basically means you're going to have to yarn over 3 times, and you're going to go back and you're going to do it around, like a front post around the cables. So that will make the cables stand forward. That's why it's called front post, because it actually pushes the stitch front and center and forward. So you're going to do 2. And because you're always changing yarn, just always pull on it to make it tight. You can also do this afterwards, or when you're weaving in your ends at the very end, but I'll kind of do it as I'm going as well, just making sure it's nice and tight. So when you do this, sometimes, you know, it's a bit fiddly, so you just take your time with it. And be patient with yourself when you do this type of work, because it is a bit fiddly when you're doing these cables, especially changing yarn all the time. As you'll see as I go along, there's going to be a mighty mess. It's going to be a mighty mess at the back. So here I forgot to change yarn. And here I'm just getting the pink. And I'm going to now just do 1/2 double crochet between the blue, as you can see in the pattern. And where it is pink, that's where the stitches go behind. So pink and blue is the same stitch. They're both front post double treble. The only difference is that the pink goes behind the blue. So I'll show you what you do then, because when I did this, it wasn't marked on the pattern at all, and I had no idea how they managed to do it, how they get the wavy pattern, because I thought it went to the front. Well, maybe it was marked a little bit, but not very clear. So now you're going to go and do a front post double treble where it is blue on the pattern, and you're going to basically go to the ones that I'm pointing at. You're going to skip the first 2 cables, and then you're going to jump to those cables. So that's why the stitch is so tall and long, because it's going to have to reach quite far. And in between, you're going to also have a 1/2 double crochet. So that's where the fiddly bit is to see where you actually are at in the pattern as well. So I have to tighten it now, because as you can see, it got very loose. And then you're going to do one more. I might tighten it a little bit. So yarn over 3 times. You do another front post double treble. It's like double trouble basically. You have to change color. If you do it all in the same color, you don't have to worry about all that I'm doing here. The only reason I'm doing it in color, it was to really show you how the cables go. I thought it would be easier to show when it's in different colors. So now I'm just having a look where I'm at on, so I'm comparing what I'm doing to the diagram, so that I get my 1/2 double trebles. Now means I get, yeah, 1/2 double crochet stitches in the right location. So 1/2 double crochet stitches in between my front post double treble. So here I've already changed the yarn again. Now I'm going to go behind. So now look what I'm doing now. And this is what creates the wavy pattern. It looks like it's just one sort of like one stitch, almost like it's very, it flows. And it's very elegant, and it's because you go behind here. So where where it is pink and they come after the blue, it basically means you're going underneath the blue. And you go behind, you go underneath and behind. Sometimes the pink stitches are in front of the blue, so then the blue just goes on top of it. But when they are after the blue, they basically have to go underneath it, and you have to find you have to hook the cable. So I'm trying to zoom in a little bit here, so you kind of see how I just kind of fish it up, and then I hook it up, and then I just crochet. And I'm not too worried if the stitch is not 100% in place, because I kind of drag it up here, as you can see, because I can adjust that afterwards. I'm just interested in getting this stitch done, because now I also have to change color as well. So now that I've done that, I'm going to adjust it, so pull everything back into place, as you can see. And now I have to do another 1/2 double crochet, and I'm just seeing where I'm at, and I'm comparing to the diagram, so it's in the right place. So I'm kind of like just looking, where am I? So it has to come after the cable, after those cables there. So it ends right there. and I have to change yarn, change the color, and now I'm going to do the front post double trebles in the last two cables. As you can see, it's already starting to be a mighty mess at the back, but don't let that discourage you. Don't let that discourage you, because that is easily fixed afterwards. You just have to use a sewing needle and stitch it all in place, and you can actually fix up a little bit of your if there's a few if part of your glove or whatever it is that you're making is a bit loose, you can fix that up when you weave in the end. So it's just a patient game. You know, I'll do this when I watch television, watch a movie, and you do this at the same time. So now I'm just going to change color, and the last bit I'm not going to show you the end of the row. So this is part of my glove, it's not actually part of the cable. And then you do one row where all you do is half double crochet the whole row, and then you get going again on the next row of cables. So I'm just showing you a little bit what the back looks like. And it will look even worse than this when it's all finished. It will look wild and crazy at the back, but that's okay. So this row is row 3 now, and this row 3 we're going to repeat again, but I won't film that, I'll just write that it's been repeated. So that's at 12:05 you'll have to go back, and if you want to watch what I'm doing, and do it a second time, and I'll tell you in this video when that is. So now, as you can see, it's pink. So pink just means that they are the stitches that end up behind. So you don't have to go behind anything because you haven't made the blue stitches yet, but the blue stitches will go on top of these stitches. So the blue and the pink stitches are the same. It's just the blue are on top of the pink. So they're both front post double trebles. So I'm kind of always checking my work that it is nice and tight. I just don't like it if it's too loose. So now I'm just putting in the half double crochet in between the cables, and now I'm going to go back and I'll crochet on top of the cables I just made. It gets easier and easier. I never thought I could do cables. That was something I always put off. Like, I'm never not going to learn it. Like, I thought I'd never learn it. And I put it off and put it off. And then I thought, no, you know what? I should learn cables. Because it's fun and it looks great, you know. Cables look amazing. So I'm so glad I learned how to do it. And now I think it's easy. So it's just a mental block sometimes that we have, that we think things are going to be hard. It's actually going to be easy. So, and if you wonder about the picture of the gloves I had in the beginning, they're not finished, but as you can see they have opposite colors. That is because I don't have enough yarn to do them in the same color. So I had to just be a bit creative with the colors so that I have enough. So they have opposite colors, but they're both going to have beige fingers. And so the other glove basically is green and pink. You know, the cables are pink, while these cables are green. So when they're finished, I think they're going to look pretty cool. And I might decorate them as well with some flowers. And I'll share I will share the pattern on my Patreon page. So here I have finished the row 3, and I'm just showing you now where I put the half double crochet, because sometimes when it's in the middle of the cables and they've been crossing, it's not straightforward to see where do they actually go. So this is where you have to compare where you're at with what's on the diagram. So that's why I zoomed in then. So basically now you have to go back, and so you are where the blue is, the last two blue basically. So go on top of the pink. And then it's the last one on this row. It's much easier to follow a diagram than to follow a written instruction when it comes to cables, because it's not easy to describe in words. Go down one row, like 2 rows, and go back to the cables. It's not easy to describe how to do this wavy pattern at all. Like if I had to read this, I wouldn't understand it. I can only understand it by looking at the diagram. The diagram makes it easy, but try to understand the written description. That's not so easy. So now I'm just going to finish off the row. Then I'm going to do another row of half double crochet, and then I'm ready to cable again. Next row. So here I'm just going to show you what it ended up looking like. So we're halfway there basically with this one. So here I am on the 4th row. And as you can see now, there are green ones again, and the green ones are a little bit shorter because they are just going to go straight down. They're not going to go forward or backwards. So that's just a front post double crochet. No, front post treble. Sorry, front post treble. That's it. That's all it is. Not a double treble. It's just a front post treble. So you just yarn over twice. As you can see, the green ones, they just go straight down, so they don't have to be as long. And now you're going to do 1 half double crochet. You're just counting that you are in the right place. So it's very easy to get the half double crochet a little bit wrong, because you have to kind of look at the row below where you're at and compare it with the diagram. So when you have the diagram, it's easy, but it would be very hard to do this without a diagram. And where you can see now that I'm crocheting, you can see at the back is kind of showing a little bit. The green that's at the back, kind of the yarn at the back is showing through. That's easy fix when you weave in the end, so don't worry about that. So now you're doing a front post double treble. So you are now where it's blue. I'm just showing, I'm zooming in. It gets a bit blurry, but you can see where I'm at. And then I'm going to do a half double crochet, and then I'm going to do the pink one. And the pink one is still the same. I made a mistake then, so I'm just doing this one again. But the pink one is the same stitch as the blue one. It is simply just to show you that I'm going behind the stitch, like I'm going underneath it and behind it. So now I'm just looking where I'm at, and I'm finding where I'm at on the diagram compared to where I am, and I'm making my half double crochet. And now I'm going to do the pink one, so I have to go underneath it. I'm going underneath, I'm fishing up the first one of the cables that I'm crocheting in. So the diagram will show you which cables to crochet in if you're going on top of or underneath the cable, and also where to put your half double crochet in between cables. So it's pretty neat. So here now I'm just adjusting it so it ends up behind, because when you do these ones, the pink ones, you're pulling it up. So once you finish it, you can just push it back down again so it ends up behind, underneath and behind the previous stitch, the previous cables you made. Changed here, and I'm just going to show you here what I'm doing. I'm doing a half double crochet. Actually, I'm not doing that, I'm doing the last two cables. So in between the cables you have to do half double crochet, and the pattern will tell you if you're doing 1 or 3. And in between the rows you're doing one row of half double crochet, and that is so that your cables will be nice and tall. So now we've done row 4, and you're going to now repeat row 3. So this row is going to be repeated. So now you're going to do the 5th row, and so you've done row 3 twice now, and you're gonna, so that's like that was the one at 12:05 I think I said, so you can watch that again. But when you finish that and you've done another row of half double crochet, you're ready for this one. So then you just go straight into it, and you start with 2 front post double trebles, and then you're going to do 3 half double crochet. Here I'm changing again, getting ready for my cables, and I'm going to do a cable. So I'm looking now, so basically what it says, I'm going to go forward and do cables in those ones. This is where you have to look at the diagram, so you do it in the right spot. If you want the full diagram, it's on Crochet Art Design, the way I have colored it in and everything, just to make it a little bit easier. And yeah, like I said, once I have the pattern for my gloves, once they're finished, I'll share them with you as well on Patreon. And now you're going to just do 1 half double crochet. As you can see, the back now is full of yarn. And I've done, so I cut that out. So I just did a half double crochet, and And I'm just showing you how to go behind and do the front post double treble, which I've shown you before, and it's not too hard to do. It's a little bit tricky the first time, but you'll get there for sure. And then I'll do the last one. The last one that goes behind that is, there is still a little bit more to do on this row. There is 3 half double crochet, and then there is the last 2 blue ones, and then you finished this pattern. So I definitely recommend, if you want to do cables, to have a diagram. Don't even worry about the pattern, the written pattern. It's going to be way too complicated. It's better to just follow a diagram. They're straightforward, very easy to understand. Here I'm doing my last 2 front post double crochets. So in my glove pattern, I actually have written it down. But what you can do is, when I do publish it, you can watch the you can just look at the diagram. Follow the pattern for the glove, but when it comes to the cables, just follow the diagram. As you can see, it's a beautiful cable pattern. So I'm really pleased with this one, and I'm looking forward to finish my gloves, and I'll share them with you guys. Bye.